Welcome to Unleashing Happiness, the podcast where I teach you how to change your mindset, change your habits, and actually change your life. Welcome to Unleashing Happiness. I'm your host, Cecilia Hendricks, and I'm super excited today because we've actually come to the 10th week of the bonus episodes that were based on the series I did that was like a 14-day free course that I had offered to some of my email list. That course was met with such great reviews and wonderful success stories that I was like, oh, I should really share this out on the podcast. I would love for more people to have access to this and have it in a very clear step-by-step way. And so I started this series. I put it into a 10-week course and kicked off. And I'm kind of surprised that we're here at the end. It feels kind of weird to be here, I guess you could say, because I've been doing this now for 10 weeks. I've loved putting it together. And I have gotten really great feedback on the information that's being provided and the success that people are having, truly changing aspects of their life when they take these tools that I'm sharing and actually implement them. And that's part of what I wanted to discuss today is the fact of learning how to consume content in the right way. So learning how to not just consume so much content that you're not actually doing anything with the content that you consume. So when you're learning these new skills, you may feel a little bit like taking in all of the information or learning as much as you can is really providing you what you need and what you're looking for. But at the end of the day, unless you turn that into actionable items, unless you start to practice the techniques and the meditations and anything else that you're learning, but until you put those into practice into your life, you're not actually going to see any change. It can be really easy to fall into a cycle of just consuming so much content, especially in the age that we're in now. There is so much that's available to you that you're able to consume, and it's a ton of the information is free. There's people who offer multitudes of digital courses to kind of help you with the transformational process. But the difference between those is that you'll find this free content that you can consume online. The courses are set up more to be actually transformational. And part of that is making sure that you take the action to take the next step. Just consuming the content doesn't actually do it. Even if you're following a law of attraction or law of assumption and using some sort of manifestation technique, there's actually actions that come along with that. Even if the teachers that you may have read, especially one like Neville Goddard, will say things that you don't have to really force an action, I guess is the better way to put it. When I've read Neville, the way that I've taken his teachings is that you're not going to force an action. So if you're seeking a specific person, there's a love that you want in your life, you don't have to go out of your way to try to purposely run into that person to make sure that then, it triggers your fireworks moment where you both look across the room and fall in love. Everything will naturally unfold based on the state that you're in. You don't have to force anything to happen. But there's still other things that you need to do. Even Neville says, don't just be a hearer, be a doer. That means when you learn something, actually put it into practice. So if there's a technique that you've heard or a new meditation that you've learned about, you need to take the action to actually do those items. What you're doing is you're changing your state, you're changing your identity to be aligned with the person that it is that you want who has this whatever desired outcome it is that you're seeking. And so part of that is making sure that yes, it's great to consume content. We have a plethora of content available to us, which is remarkable, but you have to actually take that next step and do something with it. But that do something does not mean force an action, like force to run into somebody or purposely put yourself in a specific situation that you're consciously thinking, I need to be here to meet this person or else my desired outcome can never get to me. So I'd really like to talk today about the ways to actually do something versus spending time only consuming content. I wanted to also do a quick recap of the last 10 weeks and then give some exciting news at the end about what I'm going to do with my Mondays or kind of these bonus episodes, because it feels a little weird to think about not having something like this kind of ongoing. And I want to put that into more of my regular podcast flow of content that I'm putting out. So I want to share that at the end as well. So to recap the past 10 weeks, we started with asking, what is it that you want? Anytime that you want to change something in your life, you actually need to have an aim in mind. And a lot of times the folks that I work with, what they're telling me is, well, I don't know what that is, or I'm really torn, or it changes all the time for me. I'm, kind of wishy-washy on what it is that I want. And I have been in that same position. I think it's very easy, especially if you feel like everything is available to me. What is it that I actually want? How do I want to live my life? And that podcast episode did give some kind of questions for you to really lean into what it is that you want. And I actually have a journal as well that's a free download on my website. I'll put the link for that down in the show notes. I created this journal so that people would be able to outline kind of what it is that they want and have a simple step-by-step process to just figure it out, but more of it leaning into the desired outcome of how you want to feel versus a specific event. And I found a lot of times this can help if you're really torn on what it is that you want or the direction that you want to go. The second was on defining your ideal life. So now you've figured out what it is that you want. Now, what's that ideal life actually look like? The third then is to learn about the way that your habits are reflective of the identity and the state that you're in now. So truly your habits, the quality of the daily habits that you have is going to be reflective in the quality of your life. And you can see this, especially the more that you become aware of it and you start paying attention to it, that your habits truly do equal your life. And those are emotional and physical habits. And so the third episode goes over how to change routines that you have. What is a simple and sustainable way to change the routine that you are now stuck in? The fourth one was a really great episode on how to manage unwanted thoughts. I know it can be rather easy to fall into a cycle of unwanted or negative considered thoughts. And there's some ways that you can break yourself out of that. There's tips and tricks that you can learn to lean into your emotional intelligence, lean into some emotional regulation, and pull yourself out of those spiraling type of moments that you have. That episode was the fourth episode. I'll link that one down below because I got the most messages about that episode and the content that was in it. So you can find all of these, of course, in my episode list. But that one I'll put down below just because I got so many messages about how helpful the tips were and how much success people had when they implemented them into their lives. Fifth, I shared the ways that you can naturally increase gratitude in your life. I shared some exercises that you're able to do and ways that you can lean into seeing the positive in your life, increasing your gratitude and your daily joy in life, but without falling into a cycle of toxic positivity. A lot of the content that I share is going to make sure that you are not telling yourself that you can't feel an emotion, that you're not forcing yourself to quote unquote constantly feel positive or on a high vibration or anything like that, because doing that and actually suppressing that is going to backfire. And it ends up coming out, manifesting its way in either physical ways where, you're getting headaches, your back may be really tight, you're not sleeping as well. And it's because there's no release and not being able to manage those emotions. I truly believe this is the start of a lot of disease. And so you don't want to not allow yourself to feel. It's learning how to work with those emotions and see them as an opportunity to learn more about yourself and the way that you're feeling and the state that you're in. And then lean into, getting more intelligent about how to manage your emotions and how to use them really for your advantage, even if they're one that would be considered negative. And then 6 ties into that as well. And it talks about how your natural desires, the things that you are compelled to do on a day-to-day basis around like maybe a specific desire that you're consciously paying attention to, is reflective of your state, and you can use that to your advantage. So if you are, let's say, working towards getting a promotion at work, but yet you find yourself like constantly talking about others who got promotions and how envious you are or frustrated that they got that and you're just upset by it, well, that's reflective of your state. That's saying that that's where you currently are now. And you can use that so that you can learn more about yourself and then start to change those habits and the routines that you're falling into, even on an emotional kind of level. Even if that's your, knee-jerk reaction is to be frustrated and envious when you hear that someone else maybe got a promotion that you were hoping that you would get. 7 and 8 both talk about the routines that you have. 7 is on your nighttime routine and 8 is on the morning routine. A lot of content tells folks to really focus on their morning routine and make sure that you have this like phenomenal morning routine. And while I agree that it's great if you have ways in the morning to focus on what it is that you would like to achieve and the way that you would like to live your life and changing your first thoughts that you have when you wake up, you're not going to be able to do that unless you've set yourself up for success the night before. And that's why I put the night routine ahead of the morning routine, because it's very important to make sure that you are setting yourself up for success when you go to bed. And that includes getting quality sleep. It includes having things prepared for you, like if you want to work out, that you have a workout outfit, that you have reminders that are set for you so that you don't fall into the same habit loop. We're kind of groggy when we first wake up, and it's very easy and very efficient for our brains to just naturally put us into the same cycles that we did for the month before leading up to this moment. So it's really important to set yourself up for success the night before. And then in the morning, you can fall into this routine that you've already had prepared for you. You're ready to go, and you have a better understanding of kind of what you need to do because you set it up the night before. And then 9 was such a beautiful episode on self-care and really learning how to take care of yourself, which does definitely help the self-concept that you have and what you're putting out into the world. Everything starts internally, and it's really hard to see that sometimes. And it can be difficult to change the internal because you so badly want the external to mirror something back to you, especially when you are caught in an area of life that you are really not enjoying. You are not getting the reactions that you want. Maybe you're feeling undesired, unloved, you're lonely, you are struggling with your finances and your bills, you don't have a job that makes you feel fulfilled. When you're in those moments, it can be really hard to stop and say, I need to focus on me first. I need to focus on what I'm feeling internally so that my world and my perceptions of the world start to shift. And I can't continue to rely on external factors to make me feel better. I need to feel better, and then the external factors will reflect that back to me. And there's definitely a little bit of a trust me bro kind of in this. I did it for myself. I've seen others do it. I've read stories online of other people doing it. Once you're able to actually make that shift, you'll notice the difference. And you'll notice the external factors reflecting it back to you extremely quickly. But I definitely respect and honor the fact that you may be in a position that is really difficult. And that's why I put together these 10 weeks of courses, was so that you could listen to this. You could go back and say, okay, what is something that I can work on this week? And every week that you do something like this, or even if it's from somebody else, if you find someone else that resonates more with you or content that you like better, by all means, definitely then follow whatever process they have, set one up for yourself. But anything that you can do on a day-to-day basis to say, I did that for myself. I did that to improve my life. I did that to improve my mental health. I did that so I can feel better overall and enjoy more of the life that I'm living. And there is such power in doing that for yourself. And even if it's something simple, like today I got up and I washed my hair and my hair feels nicer. I feel better because of it. I can, notice the smell and I really enjoy it. That can be that one item that you've done for yourself today. It can be brushing your teeth. It can be going outside on a walk. It can be drinking your coffee outside, getting the morning sun. There's a whole laundry list of places to start, especially if you're struggling and you're not sure how to start or where to start. And that 9th episode really goes a lot more into that. And that then ties into talking today about making sure that you are spending time actually doing the things that you're learning about, not just consuming more content and not looking for some sort of quick fix, right? So let's say you decided to I share out to do daily joys. And let's say you're like, all right, I'm going to go ahead and follow Cecilia's advice and do these daily joys. And one day you do them and you're like, you know what? Nothing happened. I just kind of whatever. So now you're seeking a new technique to try and you end up on, let's say, Tim Grimes' channel and you find something that he says and you're like, I'm going to try that. And you try it for one day. And then for the next 4 days, you mope in kind of a woe is me. Nothing's working. This didn't work. I need to find a new technique. Then you end up on Maggie's channel and you find something that Maggie said and the cycle continues. And that's, even though you're doing something, you're taking the technique and you're trying it, you're not really putting that effort into it. So I would recommend once you find something that you resonate with, commit to yourself that you're going to build the habit to at least try it for 14 days. I would definitely recommend 30 at the minimum, but 14 if you really just kind of need to try something and you don't want to give it a full month. But what you really don't want to do is consume my content, say, okay, I'm going to try that, not actually do it. Consume, YouTube person A's content and not do it. Consume more content on Reddit and not follow the advice. Read a Neville Goddard book, not do the techniques or follow the advice, and then be frustrated that your life is not changing. Because at that point, you are remaining the same. And so you can find these items and just say, I'm going to build a habit. And part of that habit is that I'm going to build in these kind of techniques, these processes, this, whatever you want to call it, into my day to put focus onto this desired outcome that I want and work on my own mental well-being, my own self-care, my own concept of myself. And I promise you that when you actually start to do it and not just consume the content, but do it, you will start to see results in your life very quickly. And part of that is also focusing on the small wins that you get. I've got a couple other episodes that talk about that, but there's some key ways to really make sure that you're paying attention to the small wins. And those small wins, like I said before, could be, I washed my hair today and now I can smell it and it smells really good. And I'm so happy that I did that for myself. And I know that you don't want to get stuck in a cycle of all I'm getting is small wins. I've worked with a lot of people who have that too. They're like, I kind of want something specific and I keep getting these small wins. And there's a bit of a balance on how to make sure you're paying attention to the right thing. You don't want to fall into the trap of just paying attention that something is not here for you or not going the way that you want. It's definitely kind of a balancing act that I think comes within time. And what I found for myself was that when I really focused on making this more of like a practical, here's the habits that I'm going to build, here's the routines that I'm going to build, and here's the reward that I'm going to give myself for it, that's when I really was able to start seeing the bigger changes that I had been really seeking for quite a while. Well, I am really happy that you joined me today. I hope that you also found the 10 weeks of these episodes helpful, and that you enjoyed the content. If there's more questions that you have, definitely shoot me an email. I'd love to hear from you. It's unleashinghappiness@ceciliahendricks.com. Again, I'll put down below the link to the 4th episode, which was managing your unwanted thoughts. And then also the link to the free journal download that I have that's to like outline your desired outcome so that you can figure out where to put your attention and where to put your aim. Oh, and I also have part 1 of creating a life that you love and kind of defining what you want. I have like a little ebook that I put together. So I'll put the link for that download in the show notes as well. As I said before, I'm kind of bummed that these are ending. I've really liked doing this like bonus series, and I don't know that I'll continue to label them as a bonus episode. It might just kind of go into the regular episode. I don't know if that changes the way that you find it. That's the only reason I'm mentioning that. But I'd like to start something, I don't know what I'm going to call it yet, but something that's around like Moods Monday, where I'm going to find content like from either Neville Goddard or Joseph Murphy, Emmett Fox, any of the teachers, read kind of pieces to help you decide on your mood for the week. So it'll be a lot on how to focus, how to pay attention to what you actually want, making sure that your attention and focus for the week is on those items that you really want to pay attention to and not kind of bouncing back and forth. We'll talk about like revision and using affirmations and the way that you can kind of self-hypnotize, etc. So I think I'm going to do that and call it Moods Monday. And then that way you're able to really choose a mood kind of for your week. So hopefully you'll join me on Mondays so that I can get that kicked off. I think it'll be really exciting. We'll see how many weeks I do, but I plan to do that kind of for a while because I have so many of these lectures that I would love to share some of the information about and talk about and hear from you about. So I hope you have an absolutely beautiful week. Remember to join me on Wednesday. My regular podcast episode will be coming out. This week, we're talking about the power of belief and also your self-confidence and how to kind of build both of those things in very natural ways. And then join me next Monday and I'll have our Moods Monday. We'll see if that name changes, but the more they say it, the more I'm kind of liking it. So have an absolutely beautiful week. I wish you all the best. And remember, if you need anything, reach out, unleashinghappiness@ceciliahendricks.com. Thank you again for joining me today. If you'd like to learn more about all things going on with me, go ahead and visit my website at ceciliahendricks.com.